And we're live, right? Okay, great. Man, coming to you from the Chicago Pipe Show on Sunday morning of the show. This is May 1st. And man, so excited this morning to have guest Jeremy Reeves on board. It is Reeves, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
Jeremy is the blender for Cornell and Diehl, and one of the just best, pipe tobacco companies that we've ever had at the Squire. We sell tons of their product and believe in them a lot. And just had some exciting stuff going on over there. So we wanted to kind of touch base with him and check in this morning and see just see what was kind of going on. So how are you this morning, Jeremy?
Doing well, John David. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. What have you made any stupid purchases this weekend while you've been here?
Well, no, it's a funny story. I actually had to go late night the night before my flight here to the bank to pull out cash because the ATMs here always run out. But went to the bank, made a small withdrawal because my paycheck had not actually cleared yet, and it got home. Totally left the card in my car from the trip to the bank and didn't realize it till I got to the airport.
What a disaster,
so
man.
No ID, no debit card, nothing. It was all in one stack. A friend of mine who was taking care of my cat saw it on the front seat of my car. Thankfully, she had a key to the car, so she was able to overnight those things to me. But no, I have not been able to make any stupid purchases.
Stupid purchases. Well, and the funny thing, being in your position with Cornell Diehl, you haven't had a lot of time anyway. So
that's true.
Man, I know your booth over there has been clobbered. You've got just your whole entire spread out, which is exciting. And of course, Cornell and Diehl in America is distributed by the Laudisi. Is that right?
Yeah, through Laudisi Distribution Group.
Through Laudisi, okay, which also does other brands like Savinelli and Rossi
lighters. Rossi,
Perique, the lighters, and a lot of cool accessories. So, man, let's talk about you, dude. How on earth did you get first into the pipe world, and then we'll kind of talk about your journey into blending. But what brought you to the pipe in the first place?
Actually, I was living here in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I was working at a cigar store called Blue Havana. And after about a year there, I worked my way up to manager and just really found that I cottoned to the not just tobacco, but to the people that were drawn to tobacco.
Yeah.
It was such a cool cross section, such a weird melting pot. I once saw and I've told this story other times, so those of you who have heard it before, I apologize, but we had a regular customer who was a high-powered Chicago downtown lawyer.
Yeah.
Fancy suits and, briefcases cost more than my life. And we had other customers who were certainly not in that kind of situation in life. And one of them was a guy who actually spared for change on the corner.
Wow.
And he would come in at around 4:00 every day and get like a $2 stick.
Yeah.
Well, the fancy downtown lawyer and his regular $18 stick happened to show up in our smoking lounge at the same time.
Okay.
That the spare for change guy was there enjoying his $2 cigar, and they became friends through meeting that day in the smoke lounge.
Wow.
Where they started coordinating their times in the smoke lounge together.
Isn't that powerful?
When I realized that like in this really tangible and special way that goes beyond like politics and religion or anything, that tobacco could be unifying, that tobacco could cause people to encounter one another as humans instead of the packaging and the stereotypes that we impose upon one another so that we can just keep on walking and get through our day.
Yeah.
It was so cool, man. And I just thought, this is a place for me. This is something I'm into.
It kind of becomes this new common denominator,
Yeah.
And so you'll have these folks from two, polar opposite walks of life. I see it in the shop all the time. And, and when their conversation dies down, maybe about events in the world or, what they're doing for their career or, their family, when that conversation eventually fizzles like it always does, it always goes back to the pipe. And so you're like, well, what are you smoking? Or, oh, I've never seen a tamp that looks like that. Or, that's a blend I need to try or something like that. So I'm with you, dude. It's really beautiful.
And what's
to watch.
really wonderful about that too is like, you know, standing outside or, you know, even sitting in the hotel lobby or something, like you talk about the weather. It's really a dead end subject.
Yeah.
But I've purchased this pipe because it spoke to me, and I'm smoking this tobacco because it makes my day better.
It's a part of my ritual.
And when we're talking about those kinds of things, we are still in a personal interaction, and that is conversation that is going to continue on to more life stuff.
That's
whereas
cool, isn't it?
when you're stuck talking about the weather, that's really sort of the end of it, right?
That's pretty much it.
You know, I mean, whatever's happening
Especially
out there, and as
tornado.
soon as you've summed that up, like that's sort of the end of the conversation.
That's very true. That's very true. So, man, it sounds like tobacco and the kind of aura around it just tugged at your heart a little bit. Kind of that part that craves some connectivity and stuff.
It really did.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's how the tobacco side of this happened.
Yeah,
I ended up going after Blue Havana to work at Yvonne Reeves.
Okay.
And I worked at
Yvonne Reeves, probably the most storied pipe shop in America, right here in Chicago. Yeah,
oldest family-owned pipe shop in the United States.
Yeah.
I don't know what their anniversary is this year. When I worked there in 2005, it was their 150th anniversary.
That's awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
Still the same register behind the counter.
Wow.
Yeah. Really, really cool place. If you have not been, please go. It's incredible. When I started working at Yvonne Reeves was really when pipe clicked for me in a way that I knew this is my jam.
Yeah.
Up to that point, I had dabbled in pipes, but I was predominantly cigars. But that was a real turning point for me. It was like I had already peeled back the curtain a little bit to see like this weird like niche, and then somebody goes, "Hey, have you checked out this like super weird sub corner?"
Yeah, right.
You know, it's behind another curtain here,
right.
And this is actually the place where I found a real fit.
That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's cool.
So. But after I left Yvonne Reeves, I actually took a job working at another place here in Chicago called Kuma's Corner. It was a restaurant.
Okay.
And that started a long stint for me of working in restaurants. And I'd always cooked. I grew up making cabinet surprise for every meal with my mother, you know, and she kind of taught me to cook that way. Like
cabinet surprise, I'll have to remember that.
What do we have, and how do we make it taste good? And she wasn't talking to me in strict like chef's terms. She wasn't talking to me about sodium and acid and sugar, but she was talking to me about those concepts in her own way. And she taught me about using flavors and flavor profiles that were out of the box in an attempt to use what you had available to you. And my mom really taught me a lot of how I think about flavor.
Yeah. I see some implications for tobacco blending. I see that coming around. That's awesome. Yeah.
So that's sort of how ending up in blending happened was that I had worked in tobacconists and I had worked in restaurants,
right?
And the opportunity to do a bit of both. There is a production aspect as well as a sharing. Like now, not only do I get to share, like here's a tin of something I purchased, but I get to share with a much wider group of people. Here's something that means something to me, and here's something that I think is really good, and sharing that with the pipe community.
That's awesome.
It's really special.
And you get to put your spirit into each particular blend, and leave your mark on it, and of course that becomes part of you that goes out there. You know, so you're giving that to other people. That's really cool. When did you? So I mean, we're talking just about 11 years ago. You started at Yvonne Reeves, and then. I think you said 2005. Is that right? And then, of course, went into the restaurant world after that. But when did you start with Cornell Diehl?
I started with Cornell Diehl about 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
When I got the job at Yvonne Reeves was when I first became aware of Cornell Diehl.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And they quickly became my favorite blending house of anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And so, I had always been a C&D fanboy.
That's awesome.
But with
names like Exhausted Rooster and Bow-Legged Bear. Like, how could you not be, man? it's just incredible.
That's right. That's right.
I'm a big fan of Exhausted Rooster, I have to say,
Me
and Briar Fox.
too.
They're both fantastic.
I have a 2009-10 of Exhausted Rooster here with me at the show.
I'll fight you for it.
Well, I'll certainly share some with you.
Okay.
We don't have to fight.
We can fight anyway, though, can't we?
Well, I mean, that's fair.
I know.
That's fair.
I think I'd lose. So you started, Cornell and Diehl brought you on board, and kind of tell us about your journey within the company, and what your position is now, and some of the stuff that you're working on.
Sure. When I started at Cornell and Diehl, I had been working in customer service at Smoking Pipes.
Yeah.
When I took the job at Smoking Pipes, little did I know that the merger that Laudisi was working out with Cornell and Diehl was happening right then. Yeah.
Really exciting thing that kind of was dropped in your lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started in customer service at Smoking Pipes, did that for a year, and then it came to light that when Cornell and Diehl was to relocate to finalize the merger in a physical way.
Yeah.
At the end of 2014, that Ted Connolly, the head blender, who had been doing this for 20 years, was not going to be relocating. At the age of 78, he was deciding to finally retire.
Wow.
And so they offered it to me, and I said, absolutely. And so without much downtime, I started traveling from Long, South Carolina.
Right, which is where Laudisi's out of.
Yes.
Right.
To Morganton, North Carolina, where Cornell and Diehl was located.
Had their
Right. To learn under Ted and Chris Tarler and William Harbison and
just sitting at the feet of the masters, man.
Yes.
That's so cool.
So I went and did that for about 6 months, 2 weeks there, 2 weeks in Longs, 2 weeks there, 2 weeks in Longs. And then towards the end, when we were really packing up the plant and getting ready to go, which was actually a year ago this weekend.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah, I remember right after the merger, I would order Cornell and Diehl tobacco and a Savinelli pipe, and they would come in two different packages or whatever. But now it's one package, and we like that. Yeah, that's great. Well, man, that's awesome. Tell us about kind of your vision for the Jeremy Reeves tenure at Cornell and Diehl. What are some of your passions? What are some things you'd like to see done in the near future? As far as tobacco goes, obviously.
I want to continue the tradition that Craig and Patty started with Cornell and Diehl of making really unique blends in small batches.
Yeah.
And making things that would appeal to this or that person in a special way. And I like the idea that we have a bunch of blends that have their own little cult following, and that really is that really is the model of our business structure. The problem comes in where you start keeping all of those things in a catalog, and now we have almost 300 blends.
Yeah, it's prolific. Yeah, I love looking through. It seems like I've been in tobacco now for about 5 years, and every time I open the Cornell and Diehl catalog, I find something that I didn't even see before. It's amazing.
So that's the idea with things like small batch.
Yeah.
Of all right, here is an opportunity for us to be really creative and to share something special that is a moment in time, like this momentary opportunity to share in this particular blend, and then it goes away.
And then it's done.
And it makes room for the next opportunity to do the same thing.
So you kind of celebrate this special one-of-a-kind thing that has a moment in time, like you say, its place in history, and you enjoy it for what it is, and then you get to look back on it and say, man, that was one of the best, But,
that's right.
And that's cool. And then you move on to the next big thing. So,
that's right.
Yeah, tell us. I mean, that's kind of the idea with small batch, and tell us kind of how that came about. And I have to say, a lot of folks have come by the table here and said, "Have you smelled this?" And they open up a tin of a numbered tin, by the way, of your tobacco, and let me kind of get a hint
you're
of it.
Talking about the beast.
I probably so. Yeah, I've smelled it, but yeah, kind of tell us about how that concept came around.
Well, it was sort of a collaborative effort between Ted Swearingen, myself. Adam Davidson's ideas were taken into account here, and basically the business model that the Tarlers had initially set in place. And we really wanted to find a way that Cornell and Diehl could continue to produce new things without ending up with a line of 1,000 blends.
Love that. Yeah.
So this was, and I don't know how it is going to morph. It has already morphed some, and I'm sure that it will continue to. We've only done this twice, but I think that's the basic way that this came about, was through, okay, there's a lot of creativity here, there's a lot of passion, a lot of drive here, and there's a lot of excellent product here.
Yeah.
But how do we express that creativity, and how do we share these ideas in a way that don't ultimately cripple our production as a brand?
That's right. Yeah, because you've got the logistics to think about too.
Absolutely.
And the product. I mean, getting it out to your retailers and all that kind of stuff. Tell us about the current small batch. Tell us about the iteration that we've got now. Obviously, people are here at the Chicago Pipe Show are excited.
Yes, the Beast is our second small batch iteration, inspired by the Crowley blend of straight Perique soaked in rum that he smoked in an attempt to, I think, reach an altered state of mind, shall we say?
It sounds like it would do that.
And I can speak from personal experience.
Yeah.
I don't know if I experienced other worlds or anything, but I certainly experienced my moment in time there changed drastically. I'll say that.
You will remember it for quite a while, right?
So based on this idea, but we wanted to tone it down enough that it would be approachable, and I really wanted to make something that was a huge Perique bomb.
Yeah.
That people would go, there's how much Perique in this, as they were smoking it. And so
you nailed it. Yeah.
We took 51% Perique. The reason for 51, by the way, is because we already make exclusive, which contains 50% Perique. So why rest on our laurels?
No, this had to top that. Right.
So 51% Perique, a good hand of dark fired Kentucky.
Yeah.
Some of our Red Virginia Cavendish that we made from a batch of North Carolina grown 2003 crop that is really exquisite.
Yeah.
And then a very special black Cavendish that we get from the Dominican Republic that is made from cigar leaf.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So took these in their proper proportions for the blend. And
which you're going to tell us right now, right? Obviously,
step by step.
Hold on, let me get my pen and my notebook.
Right, put it into tubs and soaked it in rum for 7 days.
Wow.
So that is the Beast.
Yeah.
I am happy with the way that it turned out. I get a lot of comments about it. I can't believe there is 51% Perique in this.
Just this spicy, complex, smooth though concoction.
Yes, but towards the end, usually people are like, okay, yeah, there might be 51% Perique in there, man.
That's when they found the Beast.
They're a little bleary-eyed, and I recommend having a glass of water handy. I recommend having a place that one might lie down handy.
That's fantastic. Right, you want to smoke this on a full stomach, I'm assuming. Right.
Yes,
right.
But it will sneak up on you. There was
that's really great.
We were smoking prototypes of the Beast, and I had worked on this with Ted Swearingen of Ladisi.
Yeah.
And so between the two of us, we had 7 different versions of the Beast that we made.
I bet you're worthless for a month, smoking all that Perique.
Well, we did all of this in one sitting. We made seven different versions. Did the soak and rum, in tins, and then set them all out with corncob pipes for each one.
Yeah.
And then smoked all of them side by side. Oh, I like this one better. Okay, smoke this one against the next thing, and until you find something that knocks that one that you've been smoking out. And by the time we were done, we had to call in other folks because we didn't feel quite competent to make decisions anymore. Sykes Wilford, who I have never seen nicotine knock him out, but by the end of smoking through this tobacco with us, Sykes just was like, "I'm gonna go lay down now, guys."
I have to find a conference table somewhere.
All
to
of
just
us went
out.
and just sat at our desks by ourselves, 1,000-yard stare style for like the last hour of work. It was just kind of like deer in headlights, kind of, whoa.
You're worthless for a week. Yeah. That's hilarious, man. Golly, I'm a Perique fan. I smoke a lot of it. Being close to Louisiana, I kind of adopt that as a part of my backyard. But it's a tobacco that's not for everyone. It's loaded with vitamin N. Love that stuff. But it just has an interesting vinegary, sweet, peppery, spicy. I don't know. It's very versatile, but a lot of blenders just have trouble with it because it can do so much you don't know what to do with it.
Oh yeah, I mean, Perique is such a chameleon product to work with too,
really
because
is.
in really small increments, 1 or 2% or less than that, you might not even notice it.
Yeah.
But it will bring out subtle characteristics of the tobaccos that you have used to spice with.
Interesting.
Perique.
Yeah.
In larger doses, its flavor profile just changes so dramatically, and it responds to leaf around it in these really special ways that the same batch of Perique can come off as being stewed fruit, or as being chili pepper, or as being salty and vinegary. It just depends on how you use it and with what you use it, but the flavors that you get from it are just strikingly, wildly weird and cool. And it's its own animal.
It's a challenge, but
it's its own beast.
It's one that if you nail, it's hard to beat a good Perique blend. Yeah,
I agree.
It's really hard. So what are your favorite blends? Like, what is that kind of in your general wheelhouse?
Bayou Morning is one of my favorite Virginia Periques.
That stuff could take down an elephant, man. That stuff's strong as well.
It is stout. I really love it, and I actually prefer Bayou Morning, the loose mixture, over the Bayou Morning Flake personally.
Yeah.
With a glass of full-bodied red wine,
okay,
that is a really, really special, magnificent experience.
That sounds pretty magical.
Something big though, Zinfandel.
Something heavy.
Yeah. A well-aged Bordeaux, but.
Is it because of the body of both of those, the tobacco and the wine, or something about the spiciness of both? Or
for me, it is about the interplay between the rich leather notes and the smoky cherry tones and deep chocolate notes that you can get from a really big wine, and these same sort of fruity and spicy elements in the smoke of Bayou Morning.
Yeah.
With the flake, it really, when you press that with 25% Perique in there, all the other tobaccos that are in that have the Perique just squished through them. And it becomes a very Perique forward character.
That's interesting. So you like the loose cut,
but the loose cut gives you this interplay between the bright that is there and the stoved red Virginia and the unstoved red Virginia and the Perique. And it is this wonderful, now it's doing this, now it's doing that. And that happens with having a glass of wine as well, as the wine aerates, and changes through the course of a glass. Wine changes with you. And smoking a tobacco that also changes and morphs that way is just really wonderful.
Why am I getting thirsty now? I know it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
There's nothing more thirst quenching.
Yeah, it is Sunday.
Wine.
Maybe we could have communion and and send up some burnt offerings here. That sounds pretty fantastic. Man, that is so great. Yeah, I love the finding pairings. It's always kind of magical when you're able to get those complexities and to meet in just the right time and place.
I haven't gotten a chance to yet, but I do think that Bijou might be really nice with a Nouveau Beaujolais.
Okay.
it might also be really nice with a cup of coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
Bijou is another of my favorites right now, and that's our brand new offering in the Cellar series.
That's great. The Cellar series, which of course has been a huge hit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea was these are designed to actually put back and age over time, and a lot of folks like to do that anyway with the tobaccos they buy. We cellar and like to collect these cellars, and we compare our cellars like we compare other things. But
sure,
it's but these are tobaccos that have been specially blended with kind of that concept in mind. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Basically, we've put together blends that had proportions of highly sugary leaf, naturally sugary leaf, and then proportions to work within the context of the body of the blend that we wanted of Perique. In most cases, to sort of act as a Kickstarter for that aging process.
Interesting.
The anaerobic fermentation that Perique goes through, when it becomes exposed to air, it just sort of does this other thing entirely. And I find that Perique sort of works like a starter in like a sourdough.
Yeah.
In a sourdough, kind of it causes things to happen in ways that it otherwise would not have.
It's fascinating to me as a blender. Obviously, being in a retail shop like the Country Squire, I get experience blending, but it's on a much smaller scale. And at your level, just hearing how you describe some of these processes, it's almost like you're a chemist and a baker at the same time, and a mad scientist alchemist. It's just like all these different combinations have to come together to make the perfect blend. Moisture content and acidity and the kind of things that you're storing the tobacco in, and it just each variable takes on a real importance when you're working with that much volume and the desire to get it super consistent. So I admire you, man. Juggling all that is quite a feat.
Well, I have a wonderful team of folks, and I am lucky to get to work with those guys every day. And I also have a wonderful support group outside of C&D in Laudisi. The marketing and like, if I have a problem with our software, the ability for me to go to Sykes and say, hey, can you write this tool for me?
Interesting.
We have all sorts of really interesting ways that software works with our processes, because it's not possible for me or anybody else to keep all of this in their head.
It's just too much.
It is too much. There are too many details. There's too many, well, when you make this blend, this goes in first, and then you stove this, and then afterwards this goes on. You know what I mean? Like, all of these little details, if we don't have some sort of way that is documented and is accessible to all of us,
right,
we would not be able to maintain any sort of consistency.
That's
we would
amazing.
not be able to keep track of which blend did what all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, particularly for like we discussed earlier, the catalog of blends. 300 blends and all the relevant ingredients that go into each one, and that's before you get to the small batch stuff, which is you might have an ingredient for a certain amount of time and then it's gone, and so and then you'll replace it with something else. So okay, I have to ask, what is tell me right now on air, what will the next small batch be? How's that for pinning you down?
Well,
and no, you don't have to answer that question.
I don't think that I can. I don't think that I can do that just at this point. I can tell you that I know roughly what it will be, and I'm really excited.
Can you give us any hints at all? No.
Virginia smokers, be on the lookout.
You had me at Virginia's. You had you had me at Virginia's, man. I'm very excited right now. My heart is very full. How many tins have y'all made of the small batch tobaccos thus far? Like for each iteration.
So straight up English, we did 400 tins.
Okay.
Those sold in 2 hours.
Yeah, and these are all hand numbered tins. Is that right? I mean,
Actually, straight up English, we did not do that, and we learned our lesson there with the beast. So from here on, we will be numbering the tens.
That's great.
With the beast, in keeping with the Crowley inspired idea, there we made 777 tens in reference to Liber 777.
Nice.
And that's also the book where Crowley talks about soaking Perique and rum as a meditative aid.
Wow.
But we made 777 tens on smoking pipes. They released 400 tens at noon day before yesterday, and it was gone in 40 minutes.
Wow.
And all the rest of it had been sold to other retailers, except for the 150 tens of that 777 ten run that we brought to Chicago.
Brought to the show.
All those sold yesterday in about 2.5 hours here at the show.
Yeah. So by lunchtime, they were all gone.
Yep. Yeah. So literally, there is no more beast to be had. But yeah, so that's how many we've done so far.
Man. Well,
I'm not sure what the next number will be, but as we're seeing, people are responding to ever increasing numbers at this point. So it'll probably be bigger than 700.
That's cool. There is, just from a business standpoint though, there is some value to that scarcity. Everyone kind of rushes to it. It gets an exciting thing to build on. So, and I like the romantic part of my spirit loves that, idea where, when you smoke it, you enjoy it for what it is in your time and place, and then it's gone,
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like with McClellan, their Christmas cheer every year. Everyone kind of looks forward to it coming out. Or, I know Cornell and Diehl, y'all have a really interesting blend that comes out every year that might be totally different, and it's a one. It's there, and then you enjoy it, and it's in the history books. So I like the concept of that. Yeah,
we've done the same sort of thing with the Christmas blend every year.
Yeah.
And then not quite the same thing the last 2 years with Mixture Monster, because we used the same blend for the last 2 years. But this year it will be different.
Okay.
So I want people to also be on the lookout for coming news of the Christmas blend and of Mixture Monster.
And Mixture Monster as well. I love the tins, man. Y'all have a lot of fun with your artwork.
We really do.
Which is
we
pretty
really
great.
do. It's so cool to be able to have a hand in that aspect of the brand as well.
Really?
Okay. Yes.
All right, do you do art? Are you an artist? Or,
I don't, but I am included in. We're looking at the graphic design work that Calvin at Laudisi does, and I think it should be this color, or no, this isn't quite the right concept here. I think we want to go this direction with it. And, we're always trying to find ways to just push ourselves to do something cooler than the last time.
And now that I think about it, like, you've put all this time and heart and soul into putting, this particular blend together, and it would be very inappropriate to not include the blender on the art side, because it's, you're wanting to portray to the smoker exactly kind of what you're going for and all. And, packaging is important, whatever we say about it, it is. And so you kind of get to further the spirit of the product through that. But that's really exciting. Well, man, great. Dude, it's been so good to have you on.
Same. Thank you so much.
Jeremy, it's a pleasure, man. I'm glad we got to meet here in Chicago. And I have to ask, we always ask guests that we have on, if you could have one bowl with a famous pipe smoker in all of history, who would it be? Who would you sit down and have a smoke with?
Probably Gandalf. I need to learn that, smoke ship
that whole
blown
ship
through the smoke ring trick.
Yeah.
I need to learn that.
When you get on the blending, when you come up with the perfect blend that can sprout a ship, let me know. We can collaborate on that some.
Okay.
That'll work. Man, that's great. Well, Jeremy, man, thank you so much, man. I hope you have a good rest of the trip, and man, Godspeed. Good luck on all your ventures, man. We're really excited about what you have going on.
Well, I'm really excited to be working on all this, and it's really cool to have gotten to hear about how what we're doing also affects folks like you who are in retail shops. So
yeah, man, being on the front lines, we love all the excitement. So it's great, man. Good. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.